They were bronze medallists at the previous Island Games 2 years ago, and now the Isle of Man women's football side are targeting more at this year's event in Orkney. Having initially only been a reserve in the football draw in September 2024, the squad was dramatically instated into the event a few months later in December last year, following the withdrawal of Guernsey. It's been a tight turnaround then for the team, but that's not hindered preparations in the eyes of Isle of Man women's team captain Becky Corkish and manager Wayne Lisy. They caught up with Manx Radio recently to tell us about their high ambitions in 2025. Becky, I'll come to you first of all on the playing side of things. At the last Games, bronze medalists. So how do you, I suppose, take it to another level this year, potentially?
Well, we're going for gold, Rob. We're not doing it if we're not going for gold, and we've learnt from last year. Obviously, it was Wayne's first Island tournament last time, and I'm sure he's learnt a few things from how the team can get better and what we can do better as players. So, there's no reason why we're not going to go the whole way this time. And
again, on what Becky's just said there, Wayne, is the fact that, you've got an Island Games under your belt now. What did you learn as a manager from the last one?
Absolutely, I learnt a lot. I learnt that it's not about the starting 11 in terms of the Island Games, it's about the whole squad. Certainly from my point of view, I'll be using the full squad more than I did last time, and that will just keep everyone fresh as well.
Becky, on the squad itself, obviously not too many changes from the last Games in terms of personnel, but a couple of new faces coming in. Quite generally, how do you rate the strength of the squad this year?
I think it's a really strong squad. I think you've got the strength of the players in there, you've got the ability of the players in there, the speed. Each player offers something different, and it really makes the squad as good as it is. Obviously, we're missing Ellie Gordon this year, which is a massive loss due to work commitments. Just even with her knowledge of the game and how the Island Games go. Tournament football is completely different to playing a match on a Sunday and then having a week off. So we're going to miss the experience from her. But then on the flip side, we've got new young members coming in like Pippa Wallace and Rosabel Cardi, and it'll be great to see what they can offer in relation to their fitness and their age, I guess.
And off the back of that, Wayne, from your perspective, you've got a good nucleus of experienced players in there, Becky included amongst others. But the fact, as Becky says, there are a couple of younger faces coming in for the first time. How encouraging is that for you as a manager to see more players coming through for the future?
Oh, it's fantastic. And there's more to come, to be honest, Rob. I know the junior setup at some of the clubs on the island is really good for the girls, and I know there's talented players coming through. I'd also like to touch on the fact that we've got a couple of players that have come back into the fold that weren't available a couple of years ago. Your Sarah O'Reilly, your Shannon Groves. So they're going to add their experience and their quality back into the squad, as well as the youngsters we brought in.
And again, just sticking with the idea of the fresh faces in the squad, Becky, you now know what it's like to obviously win, be at the sharp end, but also people talk about the intensity of the schedule as well. So for these younger players, naturally, it's an exciting prospect. But what are the biggest things they'll have to learn, I guess, in the time that you're at the Games?
Rest. It's proper exciting when you're there, obviously, and you want to soak up the atmosphere, and rightly so, but I can't. From my experience from coming in as a 16-year-old, resting was such an important matter when you're away. We're lucky that the sun isn't going to be beaming when we're in Orkney to be dehydrating us when we're there. But I think they just need to soak up the environment and the atmosphere, but just understand what their body's going to go through, because it's tough. It is really tough. And I don't think they'll have had to be put through that before. So, definitely resting and looking after themselves while they're there.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that, Rob. I also think it's a very exciting format, like potentially 5 games in 6 days. I mean, you wouldn't ask professionals to play 5 games in 6 days, but when you're there and you go through that, it's just fantastic.
And Becky, between now and the last Games 2 years ago as well, obviously the Isle of Man women's team went and won the inaugural Cherry Godfrey Cup over in Jersey as well. So how much confidence did that, I suppose, breed within the squad as well? I know that was 12 months ago, but, a bit of a justification of the qualities you've got.
Yeah, definitely. And it also kind of gave us a bit of a idea of where we are currently at with the squad. Even though it was 12 months ago, it's still only broken down a year between the Island Games, whereas before the Cherry Godfrey Cup, we would go the whole 2 years without seeing what the oppositions were like again. Obviously, you had Jersey, Yunisman, Guernsey. It's good to see where we are at, so we're not kind of blindsided for a 2-year period. It kind of gave us a bit of a stepping stone to know, okay, this is where we're at. We've got 12 months to sort it, although we obviously didn't think we were going to be going, but it has definitely helped us by going to that tournament.
And going into this tournament, Wayne, there is always an element of the unknown, however big or small, about who you're going to be playing, because teams could have changed drastically around you in the last couple of years. So how do you find the balance between sort of trying to know what you can about the opposition, but also making sure that if there are things you can't control, everyone just plays their own game?
Absolutely. It's very difficult to set your team up to an unknown. At Gozo, for example, so we've absolutely no idea whether they're what kind of standard they're going to be. So it is very difficult, but we try and train playing a certain way, being able to change that way during a match.
And in the last couple of months, Becky, again, just for a bit of context for those who don't know, the Isle of Man in the women's tournament weren't initially involved. It was after Guernsey's withdrawal that the Isle of Man was invited in after being initially a reserve. So it's been an extremely tight turnaround for the whole team. How impressed have you been with the way everyone's adapted and the attitude to training as well to get ready in such a short space of time?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Obviously, like you said, we didn't think we were going. We were third reserved. We weren't first. We weren't second. We were third reserved. So there was, honestly, in my opinion, there was no chance of us going, and it was absolutely gutting. To then be told that we were going, the girls kind of all come together. We've been doing additional training. The girls have all been able to go and do some sprint training with Gordon Crowe. He came down and shown us how we can improve on our sprinting and our speed work. And the turnout to them every week was brilliant, twice a week as well. So I think the girls have really all come together because they're just impressed the fact that we finally get to go, and we thought we were going to miss out this year.
And finally, Wayne, looking ahead, we've already got Becky's prediction. You want to go for gold. I don't think that's changed from the last time you all went as well. So from your perspective, from a manager side, what's it going to take to achieve that?
It's going to take beating Bermuda at some point during the tournament, without a doubt. They were definitely the strongest team we came up against, and we only lost 1-0. So now that we're better prepared, as far as I'm concerned, we're better prepared. There's no reason we can't get gold.
Thank you for having the stamina to make it to the end of the Manx Radio Sportscast. You're clearly someone who has their eye on the ball at all times. Want to hear more about the latest sporting news across the Isle of Man and much more? Then might I recommend you take the plunge and subscribe to this series or a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so that, in a flash, all of our finest moments take a winner's place on your smartphone. Thank you.